everyone. Welcome to week one of the BDE Sports Talk Podcast Pickem Show. Week one. Super excited for this week. This week is going to go kind of quick, but we are going to have our Pickems along with our spread picks as well. So we'll have money line and spread. Real quickly, we talked about this on the podcast, but we did a little preseason. Dean is 2-0 against the spread with the USC game and Notre Dame game from the weekend. Eddie was 1-1. I was 0-2. So, but I kind of tried to go a different route. So, I haven't told you guys this. I didn't want to tell you until we got to this episode, but we are going to be playing for something this year. Which will hopefully be unveiled in a couple weeks. Maybe.
You might as well put it on me right now, baby.
So
I can't mimic what I think it is.
So this is just kind of a little side thing that we're gonna do. Have a little fun with it. I don't know how many of you are gonna take our picks to heart, but if you do and you are an obsessive gambler, please bet responsibly and don't blame us for your losses. So just wanted to throw that.
Yeah, like the video, you know.
He went 2-0.
Dislike the video.
He's got it going on. Dean's 2-0 so far, so he's probably going to go undefeated the rest of the way through against the spread.
Yeah, I know exactly what I'm talking about.
Sometimes that's the way to go. You know how some people, when they do NCAA tournament brackets, they pick the color of schools. You know what I mean?
It's true.
Like, ooh, I like teal. So sometimes
how many of those
it's good
people
to have
actually win.
Well, you'd be surprised. I feel like
you can pick however you want. That doesn't mean you're going to win.
Right. But it's a nice different perspective because like I've done some sports betting for a while. Eddie, I'm not sure how much you've done. I know Dean doesn't really do it.
I don't do it at all.
I mean, I've lost a house due to sports betting, but I've also gained 3.
That is a win, my friend. Do you want 3 houses?
You got to lose one first to get 3.
So
I've got a separate subscription only, buyers only pod. If you guys want to get in on that, I give you my picks every week. Get your 3 houses within 2 years.
So this week obviously is just college football going forward. I'm not sure if we're going to have NFL pick'ems on this or not. We'll see as we go forward. And we don't have a lot because it's week one. We're mainly a Michigan podcast. So most of the picks are just what we think is going to happen. I'll have more information when we get into more weeks. So with that said, we will start with the games that we talked about on the podcast that will be coming out Saturday morning. First off, no line is just a pick 'em, and we have St. Francis versus Western Michigan. Eddie?
Yeah, I got it as a must win for Western Michigan. They got 4 of the next 5 on the road. No easy games after that. They got to be careful. St. Francis pushed Akron to OT last year. Western Michigan's an upset alert, but being a must win and in their head coach's Lance Taylor's first game as coach, Western's going to come up with a win.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think anytime a D1 school goes against an FCS school, they're supposed to win, right? I mean, they're supposed to. It doesn't always happen.
I love you saying that and staring at his block M's.
Appalachian State. But I'm gonna go with. But yeah, I also it's a must win for Western. I think Western takes it.
I am going against the grain. I think straight up Pickem. I'm gonna go with St. Francis. I'm gonna go against the grain early. I gotta
Red
It's not-
Flash.
I gotta get that. I haven't unveiled it yet. But real quick,
But
but Cole Doyle is their quarterback for St. Francis. He's returning. Real quick, he ranked 5th in passing efficiency last year in FCS. He was also a Walter Payton Award finalist, which is the Heisman for FCS. They have 4 returning top rushers from their team from last year. O-line returns 4 starters on an O-line that was ranked 11th in FCS in sacks per game. Western has a lot of questions, a lot of guys that left or graduated. I'm going St. Francis.
Cordoyo rules. Cordoyo rules.
Next up, another pick 'em real quick is Howard versus Eastern Michigan University.
You go, Bill.
Eastern Michigan. Dooley and the Eagles. No line, by the way. There was no line.
No line on that. Yeah, Eastern Michigan for sure. Howard finished 5-6 last year. Eastern should win. They're one of the better teams in the MAC.
EMU's too good. Should at least be a 2-touchdown victory. I would say at minimum. It's the Eagles, no question. Captain Dooley leading the charge. He might even get a TD. Who knows?
ECU versus Michigan. Michigan at -36. We're gonna start getting into. I think the rest of them have spreads to them. So for what we're going to do for our little competition, 1 point for your pick 'em, 2 points if you're right on the spread, 3 points which we'll bring up later. So first game, like I said, ECU, Michigan at -36. Eddie, you go ahead and give us both.
Yeah, I love obviously Michigan to win. I mean, there's no question about that. And I do like Michigan covering the spread. I think it's at minimum it's a 5-touchdown game, which is why the spread's where it's at. But I can't see them not covering 36 against an ECU team that's not that tough defensively.
Yep. Dean?
That's fair. I obviously picked Michigan to win as well. I think I'm going to take East Carolina with the spread though, and say that Michigan won't win by 36.
Okay.
And remember, Dean's 2-0 against the spread.
That's true.
I think it'll be close. I think it'll be close.
The game?
No. I think they'll have I think they'll win by like 35.
I'm just kidding, man.
No, I think they'll win by like 35. I think they'll be close on the spread.
I'm taking Michigan. 36 is a big number. Big number. I think, I've said before, I think this is Harbaugh's best team since he's been there. ECU has a lot of holes, a lot of questions. I could see them winning by 42, 49. So I'm going to go with Michigan. That's not Michigan's the best and whatnot. That's just ECU just has a lot of holes, a lot of questions. So, and Michigan on paper right now is obviously one of the best in the nation. So, next up we've got CMU, MSU. MSU is at -14.5. I'll just go real quick. I have MSU winning and covering as well. The homer in me says Central wins 24-21. And I said on the Great Lakes Gridiron podcast, I said, if Central wins, Mel Tucker ain't the only one coming. I'm telling you that right now. I'm telling you that right now. Take it that way you want.
Fire up Bill's crotch. Because it's going down.
So the realistic betting in me would take Michigan State at minus 14.5.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I got Michigan State winning, covering the spread. I do think it's going to be close, probably going into late third, fourth quarter. Michigan State probably scores a touchdown in the last half of the fourth quarter to make it 28-10-ish. That's what I think. So I think they cover the spread, but not by a lot. But yeah, MSU covering.
Yeah. I mean, I picked MSU as well. And on the Great Lakes podcast, as Bill was saying earlier, I think I predicted the score to be 21-10 on the spot. Wasn't really, I think it might have said 24-10.
So still not covering.
So I'm still like right on the line, but I am going to say MSU covers the 14.
After you predicted two scores where they didn't?
Yeah. Well, I didn't know the money line. I still don't know what it was.
Well, you shouldn't think about them. You shouldn't think about the spread if you're just picking.
I was just 24-10. That's what I said. I said I figured.
You don't believe they'll cover. But
I guess without knowing the actual spread, I guess not.
Dean's going with CMU on the spread.
Yeah, for sure. Stone Cold.
Are you?
No, don't let him influence you. You just tell me what you want.
No, that was sarcasm. That was sarcasm.
Hey, dude, I wouldn't be surprised if CMU covered.
No, I wouldn't either.
Yeah.
That's why I said the score was so close when I predicted it.
Okay. All right. So we're going to get into some quick games here. We'll just run through the list. Kent State, which I think is the first game of week 1. Kent State at UCF. UCF minus 37. What do you got?
I got UCF winning. Clearly, I mean, they're 37-point favorites. I do have Kent State covering. I know you guys at the Gillo Glip pod thought Kent State definitely won't, but that's a big line for a UCF team.
I agree. I also picked UCF and for I also picked UCF and Kent to cover the spread.
Okay.
Bet you did, cowboy.
Well, and on the podcast I said this, but I am gonna go with the fellas in honor of them in appreciation for letting us on the podcast to talk with them. UCF to win, UCF to cover. Minus 37. So
let's put them to bed, Pickums.
That is my Stone Cold lock of the week. Next up, Florida at number 14, Utah. Utah is at minus 6.5. And these are all off DraftKings. And obviously these were taken on Tuesday evening. So if the lines have changed, but it'll still be within a half point. So minus 6.5. And for the rest of these, Ed, you'll go first. Eddie and Dean, you go second.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
For all of them? For all of them, I'll go first.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you don't have to.
I mean, whatever. For this episode, we'll do it. You're right. So,
Yeah.
And we'll just change it up every time. Okay. So, Florida at Utah. I got Utah winning and covering. I think it's a big game for Utah. Florida's got to travel over there. Utah's got a solid team. I got Utah winning and probably by a touchdown. I like them to cover.
Oh, okay. I thought he was going through his whole list to pick them, so I thought that was. I was like,
Oh,
oh,
no.
okay.
No.
I was like, all right, we're just gonna fire these. Yeah. I also same thing. I also have Utah winning and covering the 6.5 point spread.
Same here. Utah. Um, Nebraska at Minnesota -7.
Yeah, this is my spread stone cold lock of the week. I like Minnesota to cover. I think they're going to win by 10 or more. I guess you could count that as a pick'em lock of the week too, but I really like Minnesota to cover that. It's a big game. Matt Rule's first game at Nebraska. Now they might be jacked up, but Minnesota's got a lot on the line, and I feel like Nebraska's a team they should beat, and I feel like they feel like they'll beat them. And I got Minnesota winning that tonight and covering at home against Nebraska.
Yep, same thing. I mean, I can't argue with that. Minnesota
No way you
covering the spread. Can't argue. Stone cold.
That's my stone cold lock. I'll
It's
stunner
a stone
your
cold
ass.
lock.
I also had Minnesota winning and covering as well. Matt Rule, I'm sure he'll do good things going forward, but first game at Minnesota, I'm going to take the Golden Gophers. And going forward, actually, a little caveat here. If you're not comfortable with the spread, and we can talk about this later on too, but if you're not comfortable with the spread, Dean, I'll talk to you more about this, but you can also do, if you're not comfortable with either one, you can go over under. Okay.
Yeah, if
But
anybody
you'll
wants to
just
hear an
have to
over
look.
under, you guys got to let us know before Tuesdays, and we could work that in. If anybody's interested in seeing what an over under is or what we think about that, if you're curious what we think, let us know, and we would definitely call that out.
Right. And if you, Eddie, like Dean, I'm not, Eddie just knows a lot about this. If you look at it and you're like, I really like the under on it, just say it. You know what I mean? So just going forward, and that can be just a side thing. It doesn't have to be one of our like competition things, but just a little as we go forward this year. So, and Dean, we can talk about that later. Louisville at Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech is +7.5.
This is another one where I like the favored team to win and cover. Louisville's got a lot going for it. Georgia Tech, historically, other than when they had Calvin Johnson, pretty slow, methodical running team. So they don't put up a ton of points on a general basis. I like Louisville +7.5. I bet they win by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, you can't argue with them down there. You know what I mean? Yeah, go with Louisville, and yeah, they'll definitely cover the spread.
I believe Jeff Brom's the coach there now, right?
Yes, sir.
He left Purdue to go there. Yeah. So I agree. I think Louisville probably wins by 14, 17, right around there. Of course, I say that, and they're at Georgia Tech too. So, but
yeah, I mean that's the tough part.
Yeah. I'm gonna skip one real quick because I want to kind of go back to that. Fresno State at Purdue. Purdue -4.
Yeah, I mean, I got Purdue winning and covering, mostly because they're at home and the line is fairly close. You assume it's probably a touchdown game. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Fresno won because Purdue's not bringing a ton back. But I mean, if you have -4 at home with Purdue, the team traveling from the West Coast, I like the 4-point spread on that. And I got Purdue winning and covering.
Yeah, that's, I mean, for all the things that you said.
Yeah,
Purdue covering by, I mean, it's 4 points. You assume they'll at least win by 1 touchdown. I mean, crazier things have happened, but yeah, Purdue and covering.
I have Purdue winning, but Fresno covering.
Think a field goal game there, huh?
I think it's gonna be a close game.
It is. I bet it is. Yeah.
Northern Illinois at Boston College. Boston College is -8.5.
I like Northern Illinois to cover, with Boston College winning. Boston College went winless against the spread last year at 0-2 when playing as at least 8.5-point favorites last season.
Mhm.
So, taking that into effect, Northern Illinois, especially with Rocky Lombardi being healthy, ready to go. I like Northern Illinois covering, but Boston College should win by probably a field goal.
Yep. Boston College, Northern Illinois to cover.
I actually have the same thing too. Boston College
There
to
you go.
win, NIU to
you know.
cover. The MAC podcast, the Great Lakes Gridiron podcast, said Northern Illinois could be a sleeper team. And
No
I
doubt.
think, yeah. So, yeah, BC to win, NIU to cover. Number 3, Ohio State at Indiana. Indiana is getting 30 points, plus 30.
This is my first Stone Cold lock of the week. It's just a win. The money line. I mean, how do you not take OSU to beat Indiana? Even though it's in Bloomington, Ohio State has won 27 in a row. That's not stopping here. They're going to get number 28. OSU to win. IU to cover, though.
Really?
Mhm.
Yeah, I picked Ohio State to win, and I have them also covering the spread as well. I think they're too much
It could
for
be easy.
Indiana.
Yeah. It could be easy to happen. I actually am with Eddie on this. I have OSU winning, but Indiana covering. And it could easily go Dean's way. It's
For sure. I think some of
it's
that is the uncertainty of what I mean perceived on OSU. I mean, we're just saying it's OSU.
right.
They're breaking in a new quarterback. I
Yeah.
mean, obviously Marvin Harrison's a stud,
Yeah.
but other than that, I mean, did you know OSU's the betting favorite to win the Big Ten?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's because Vegas is hedging their bets. Because when Michigan is betting, Michigan people obviously bet super heavy Michigan.
Oh yeah.
So to like maybe balance their wins and losses out, I thought like maybe they put the odds on Ohio State so that because the Ohio people are going to bet Ohio, but then the Michigan people are going to pretty hard Michigan and probably even that out. I don't know. It's just I saw the lines a day ago and I thought that's interesting.
I want to say they had Michigan. If I don't know if they had them at 9.5 or 10.5 wins for over under. But if it's
Really?
9.5, yeah. If it's
9.5,
9.5,
put that money down.
yeah, for sure. But I think it was 10.5. There's no way you're
Dude,
gonna have the number
I'm
3
gonna
team
look
in
that
the
up when we
nation.
get off of here. Because if it's
Yeah.
9.5, I'm putting some cash. I mean, why not?
Right.
That should be easy money.
Responsibly putting cash on it.
Yeah, just whatever I got in my
Yeah,
savings.
let's say.
That one I would feel pretty good about
Yeah. Oh yeah. If it was
until they
9.5.
win 8 games.
That's the thing with Michigan, though. I mean, they're so deep. Like, if JJ were to get hurt, they have 2 other quarterbacks that can step
Dude.
in.
There's no way they don't win.
8
At
games,
least
9
9
games.
games. I guess
Yeah.
if 9.5, JJ would have. If JJ doesn't go down, them not winning 9 games, Hardball maybe should get fired.
Yeah.
Even though he wasn't there for the first 3.
Not his fault.
Okay.
If they used to UNLV, then that'll be something.
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding. Buffalo at number 19, Wisconsin. Wisconsin minus 27.5.
I mean, I feel like we're gonna have the same one for this too. Wisconsin's gonna win. Buffalo's gonna cover. Buffalo's a good team, and I think 27.5 is a little bit disrespectful. I wouldn't even be surprised if Buffalo kept it within a touchdown.
Right.
I don't know enough about Wisconsin to feel good about it. So I got and who knows, Wisconsin wins by 50, But right now, as it stands, Wisconsin wins, Buffalo covers. I would put my money on that.
Yeah, same thing. Wisconsin winning, Buffalo covering.
Same. Same. West Virginia at number 7, Penn State minus 20.5.
I actually struggle with this. I mean, obviously PSU wins. They're probably the most, and you might not like. They're probably the most overall talented team in the Big Ten, which puts them right up. It's debatable, but they're right there. I just don't trust James Franklin in big games, to be honest with you. But
Right.
I got PSU winning. They're a running team, so I think West Virginia covers. That's a big line on a
Yeah.
on a game. Yeah.
On a run heavy type of game, probably. I got Penn State winning and West Virginia covering.
I wanted to see. Do you know if it's an afternoon game or a night game?
For that one,
Yeah.
I don't.
Well, it's a night game. Penn State's covering. Penn State.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It's at night, huh?
Yeah. You know that's going to be a whiteout too.
That's what I was like. Oh, dude, that almost made me change. When we talked about the season previews for Michigan, I picked Penn State to win. I was thinking it was a night game, and it's not. And I was like, ooh.
Right.
Penn State just plays better at night.
They do.
In Happy Valley.
Well, yeah.
Well,
I mean, that crowd is insane.
I mean, got to give it up to that stadium, that fan base. I mean, it's as legit as it gets.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Penn State winning and covering. If it was in the afternoon, I would have gone West Virginia to cover.
Like it.
South Carolina at number 21, North Carolina minus 2.5.
Only minus 2.5 there.
Yeah.
I like South Carolina to win and cover. Obviously, if they're winning, they're covering. But Spencer Rattler getting back after it, I think he's got something to prove. I like South Carolina to win and cover.
Yeah. I also picked South Carolina to win and cover. I wish I have them circled on my. I'm not just like. Oh, let me hear
I
what
believe
Eddie
you.
has to
I
say.
believe. It's just. I mean, we're week one. I think the picks feel more clear than what they probably are.
Oh, what a
being week
surprise!
one.
I picked the same thing as you again.
Yeah, I mean right.
Yeah, but yeah, I have South Carolina winning. And like you said, if they win, they're probably covering the spread.
You'd imagine
so.
I'm gonna
Maybe
go.
not.
I'm gonna go with Mac. And North Carolina wins. I think Mac's still there.
Are they covering
coach.
also?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, minus 2.5. Yeah. What's that? Mac Brown, yeah. Still there.
Yeah.
So no, I can see South Carolina winning for sure.
Of course. It's 2.5 line.
Yeah.
It should be a good game.
Just a win. Yeah. I almost went with them because of Spencer Rattler, but Northwestern at Rutgers. For our pick'ems, I'm gonna do all the Big Ten games for sure, just so you guys know. Northwestern at Rutgers minus 6.5. Rutgers minus 6.5.
I mean, I got Northwestern winning and covering. They covered. I feel like they're going to be fired up with this Fitzgerald stuff. Rutgers isn't returning like an elite squad by any shot. I mean, they are at home and it's their home opener, but Northwestern's got a lot to be playing for, and I think they're going to be inspired, and they're good enough to beat Rutgers.
Yeah,
as it is, and so I feel like the emotional surge is enough to win the game. I think 6.5 is just based on Rutgers being at home and them feeling like that's a pretty even squad game without it being a rivalry.
Right. Yeah. I picked Rutgers to win and cover on this one. I think them being just at home, I think that's just gonna put them over.
Same. I have Rutgers winning and covering.
I need Northwestern. Let's go Wildcats.
Well,
Haze some people this weekend, would you? Let's go.
I I wanted to skip this towards the end because I find this game to be super interesting. Colorado at number 17 TCU, TCU minus 20 and a half.
I think I got the standard line, right? TCU winning, Colorado covering. I was honestly tempted to take TCU to cover also. I think
Mhm.
there's a lot of hype built around Dion,
Mhm.
Coach Prime, and I don't know if it's super warranted yet.
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, he did some things at Jacksonville State, but think about it, man. If you're Prime, you can get some guys down to Jacksonville State, and you're going to look pretty darn good,
Mhm.
right? If you just
Right.
get a few of those
Well,
top
yeah,
line guys,
he
and he brought guys with him to Colorado. They were Louis, like he said,
Mhm.
but um, I was tempted to take TCU to cover, and I don't know enough about TCU squad this year, honestly, to even say.
Right.
But I feel like they're obviously they're 20 and a half by people who know,
Mhm.
so they're going to win. I feel very confident they're going to win,
Mhm.
and I do feel like Colorado at least keep it close enough to cover. At least an emotional value, but it was close for me.
Mhm.
I also picked TCU to win. I was struggling on that because, like you said, with the only reason I would even consider TCU not covering that is because of Dion. I mean, I think that's just based off name. It's like with anything else. So I'm just gonna go ahead and go with TCU covering that as well. I think they'll score 21.
Oh,
I'll go against the bias.
I am on Eddie's side here. TCU to win, Colorado to cover. I agree. TCU more than likely will win. Um, I do think Colorado can keep it close. I think he's got players who are talented enough to keep it close.
well,
They're
what that
obviously
number
going to
one
be jacked
recruit
up.
from 2 years ago,
Yeah,
that DB, he followed him to Colorado, didn't he?
yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
I mean,
There's
that's big
talent
on its
there.
own.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
TCU don't got anybody like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, yeah, I think they'll cover. And then the last one for this week is number 5 LSU at number 8 Florida State. That'll be a great game to watch. Florida State, I have
Plus,
here at plus 2.5. Um,
that's a tough one, man. That's a
mhm,
tough one. It should be a good game. Um, to me, I got to go with LSU, and I think that's probably the easy answer considering they're favored.
mhm.
But LSU has got potential national title hopes and dreams, and I don't think Florida State is a team that realistically is a challenger for something like that this year. They're good, they're real good, but LSU is just kind of, it seems like another step up, and so
Yeah,
LSU wins, which naturally they're going to cover.
right. As much as I would like to see Florida State win,
Mm,
um,
yes,
I
I agree.
I am gonna go with LSU to win, and it's 2.5, so cover. I think it's gonna be a good game. I don't know how good of a game it would be if it was at LSU. I mean, it still
Mm,
might be a good game, but it
mm.
being at Florida State with the atmosphere, I think it's going to be a pretty good game. So, Dean, glad to have you back. Uh, uh, what do you got?
I got LSU winning and covering.
Makes
Sounds
sense.
good.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, week one, like Eddie said, it's a lot of on paper, it looks like clear cut picks. As you get into week 5, week 6, it'll be more interesting. But, So awesome. Great first week. If you guys can send me those picks, whether take a picture or whatever the case may be. So I have that. And I think this will be fun. And so with that said, if you guys have any thanks for watching. If you have any comments, any ideas, anything like that, hit us up in the comments below. Like the video. We'll try to keep these ones short so that easy watch. So just like the podcast, you guys, if you have anything to say,
No, good to go, man.
Yep,
good to
all
go.
set.
Awesome. All right. Well, everyone, thanks for watching, and good luck this weekend. If you're betting, bet responsibly, and enjoy the games this weekend. Have a good one. See you next week.